They have a machine that they call the teller of visions. Are you following me? That's the think box today. I'm talking in the modern days. I can go back in ancient days and give you other forms how they manipulated people to think. They have a thing that's called subliminal suggestion. Any of you heard of it? It flashes on the screen so many variations. You don't see it with the naked eye, but it computes in the mind. Go buy some popcorn, you're hungry. Go buy some popcorn, you're hungry. Go buy some popcorn, you're hungry. And you sit up and watch television. Oh, I wish I had some popcorn. You run to the kitchen. Or go buy a Coke, you thirsty. And you run and buy a Coke. Big Mac, Mickey D, Kentucky Fried. Who has told you that these are the foods that you're supposed to eat? They make millions of dollars off these foods, and yet they're killing you. If you knew what you was eating in McDonald's, you wouldn't eat. You ain't eating hamburgers. You eating kangaroo meat. Hello, somebody. Go back and check your government. Stay in the records. Musky kangaroo. Someone tells you what sneakers to wear, how much to pay for them, what type of clothes to wear, how the style you should dress. Who told woman to put makeup on her face? You say you think? Don't be offended at me. Who told you to do this? Who told you it was pretty? Do you follow my analogy? I mean, I could go on and on and on. I'm just going to name a few real things. Don't be offended at me. I don't mean no offense. Do I need to give any more proof that most of us don't think for ourselves? Do I need to give any more analogies? All of us have been guilty of it at some point or another. I'm just starting to learn how to think for myself. And it's wonderful. It feels good. Not up under any dictation any longer. So Melchizedek said, Abraham, I'm going to teach you how to think. For it is written, it was, and so shall it be. As a man thinketh, so shall it be, or so is he. Now those that are Bible scholars have heard this. And yet of those that are Bible scholars, a lot of them will come to my seminar. At the first 2 or 3 words, they'll get offended and go out. And they miss out themselves. They lost out. Because they wasn't patient and long-suffering enough to hear what was coming. And their own scripture tells them to be long-suffering. Are you following me? So long-suffering or patience is one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit. But I know that this knowledge ain't for everybody. Melchizedek said, Abram, when you learn to use your mind, which is the greatest computer that ever was created, and man can't reproduce it. You know, in this computer age, Windows, Corel Draw. Here's the Windows here. Are you following me? Man has what's called a cache record. And it can store more memory than the computer can ever think about. But man has forgotten. Melchizedek said, Abraham, you must think. I'm going to teach you the power of the thought. This thought, Abraham, is going to cause you to be blessed, and you're going to become the richest man on the planet Earth. Spiritually, mentally, and physically. And we can become rich, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Don't think of riches just physically, because if you think one-sided, then it's unbalanced. When you think that you want to be rich, you must be balanced. Are you following me? Are y'all here? Huh? Are y'all here?
Yeah.
Nod your head. Give me some kind of sign that you're in the land of the living.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, Abram, I'm going to teach you the method of all creation. I'm going to teach you, Abraham, the process to make everything in your life manifest. It's just a knowledge, Abraham. All things is possible, Abraham, to them that believe with proper knowledge. With proper knowledge, Abraham, there's nothing that you can't do. That's also in the Bible. But the preacher man never told you how to use it. I know it works because I'm applying it and I'm going all over the world enjoying myself. And I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And the more I learn and the more I grow, the better it gets. And I'm not worrying about dying because I'm just starting to live.
All right.
I'm not worried of getting 60, 70 years old and die because I don't plan to die. Because death is not in my thinking. So a man thinketh, so is he. Man is supposed to live a minimum of 1,000 years and enjoy his life. And then after the 1,000 years, he's supposed to be able to have the knowledge to transform himself. Man has fallen from that which was in the beginning. But that which was in the beginning shall be in the end. Today, mankind is living a death culture. He said, but Abram, I'm going to teach you how to think and how to live, Abraham. Abraham said, teach me, man. I said, what do I do? He said, the first thing you do is Shema. Hear. That is the first commandment that was given to the Hebrew Israelite. Shema Israel. Hear, O Israel. And hear doesn't mean just to hear words. It means that when you hear it, perceive it, then you do. If you don't do, you didn't hear. He said, when you hear, Abraham, you began to know. Once you know, Abraham, you begin to understand. Once you understand, then you begin to teach. In other words, until that time, be silent. And mankind today is out of order because they all think they have something to say and they are saying nothing. He said, Abraham, there are three other worlds than the world that you're living in. Abraham said, I knew it. I knew it was something else besides me. I knew it had to be something else besides just us down here. Because I keep looking up to this multifaceted universe and all of these stars, and there's something in me tell me somebody up there. Now I'm telling you, there's other people out there. But they're not people like us. They don't have a body the same as us. They're not flesh like our flesh, but they have a type of flesh which is universal. And they work on much higher laws than we're on in this planet. This world that we in is the world of material manifestation. This is the world of solid liquids and gases. This is the fourth world and the lowest of all the worlds. The highest world was called, illustration please, the world. Olam which means ancient of days, rock of ages, and worlds. Ha'olam Atzilut. Commenters knew about this, but no man can claim truth to be his own. No man is the master over truth. Truth always was. So when we talk about truth, we cannot consign truth to no generation and no nation, because truth came from the Almighty Creator. Before there was a Kemetan or an Egyptian or a Syrian or Babylon, there was the Most High Creator and the world of existence. So it don't matter to me what nation was on the planet of Earth first. Did you live it? It's not who had it first, it's who's doing it. And a few of us Hebrew Israelites are doing it. He said, Abram, with your mind, you can pierce in to the other worlds. He said, I'm going to give you a slogan, Abraham, which is true. So above, so below. So without, so within. Are you following me? He said, Abram, what you put out will come back. What goes around comes around. Are you following me? Yeah. This is a mutable universal law. Doesn't matter who it is. Everybody gonna reap what they sow. That's how the Bible said. And if we keep doing the same thing that our ancestors did, you're going to get the same punishment as your ancestors got.
That's right.
Our ancestors was messed up. Of all nations. Look back. All of our ancestors was messed up. Look what they did to the world. And we should say, I don't want nothing to do with my ancestors. What I mean by that is that I'm not going to follow their ways. Something else has to come into being. He said, Abram, the absolute world is the world of pure existence. Pure energy. Where the Ayin Sof and the Ayin Sofer, the limitless light. Not a tangible light as we call light here, but it's the limitless light, and when man receives that light, it becomes a physical light. But that light is forever present. It always was, it is, and it always will be forevermore. I'm going to teach you how, Abraham, to walk in the light and not in darkness. And mankind today is walking in darkness, which means ignorance. To be ignorant means to walk in darkness. To have a lack of knowledge means also to walk in darkness. He said, Abram, this world is the world where everything that was, that is to come, that will always be forevermore exists. But Abram, I'm going to teach you how to call, how to cry out, how to evoke, and how to convoke, and through evocation. I'm going to show you how to call from this world and call everything that you want into being into this material world. But you must be balanced, Abraham. Don't go calling and just asking for money. Because money is the root of all evil by itself. You must be spiritually balanced to be properly, to know how to handle money. If you don't, money will destroy you. Because the average man that become rich, he doesn't have a spiritual wealth, and so therefore he does all kind of wicked things with his money. And he begins to think that he's the power and have power over all men. And he calls men to be slaves to him with his money. But he said, Abram, when you call, things begin to go into what's called a tumbling motion. It degrades down to the second world that's called Ha'olam Bria. Bria means creation, where everything takes on a created form. Now it's begun to take on a created form. It's not tangible yet, but yet it has substance and form. Are you following me? Are y'all here?
I'm here.
He said, Abram, this is the second manifestation of all things. He said, from that, it began to take on a spiral motion, and it degrades down into the third world, and that's called Ha'olam Yitzirah, where everything takes on foundation. It takes on spirit and soul. That's called Nefesh Ve'Neshama. Everything that your physical eyes see is a spirit. Even this piece of paper is a spirit. And all spirits is an atom with electrons and neutrons and protons. There's living energy in this paper. If you don't believe it, take this paper and put it up under magnifying glasses, and you'll see the living particles moving in it to show you it has life. No matter what style or image you put it in, it's just being transformed. It still has life. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
There was a man by the name of Latimer. He created the light bulb, not Con Edison. Edison did not create the light bulb. Latimer did. Latimer was the slave of Con Edison. Con Edison he was a con man. That's why he had Con on the first of his name. He was Con Edison. Originally, Con wasn't his first name. They called him a con artist. They started calling him Con Edison. This is a historical fact. He took the credit for the light bulb. But Latimer, he understood this because he understood something about 33 and a third degree masonry, which is a secret that's really ain't a secret. He began to apply thought. I want to create light. And then he started calling it, I can make a bulb. It began to sift down. And the highest world in the grayish matter of your head is called Absolute. Man created in the image of his creator. All the heavens above is within the man. Then things began to degrade down into a lightning flash to the fourth world that's called Asiyah, which is the world of solid, liquids, and gases, the material world, where it takes on material form. And it became a light bulb. That is the process of all creation. All creation. Everything that you desire will manifest, or does manifest, just like that. There's nothing that you can ask the Father for that you can't have. You can have whatever you want. But man has not, because he don't know how to ask. And when he acts amidst the heap lust on his flesh. But when you learn to act according to his will, anything that you ask is going to manifest. I bear witness. There's a process. And that process is called time. Thank you. Nothing was created like that. See this piece of paper? Hit the floor. See how much time that paper took to hit the floor? And the Creator created the heavens and earth in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. That was 6,000 years. Because a day with the Creator is as 1,000 years. So I'm saying that to say to you, whatever you want, the minute you begin to think it, it already is. Because a man cannot think of something that does not exist. It is impossible. If it don't exist, you can't think about it. Does that make sense to you? Huh? So don't say, well, I know what I'm thinking is foolish. Ain't nothing foolish. It may be out of order. But be careful of what you think. Some of us go around, people, oh, you make me sick. And you get sick. Eventually. Because you call sickness on yourself. You call sickness. But you are not conscious that you call sickness on yourself. You make me sick. Huh? And the minute you put it out, here comes sickness. Sickness. And eventually, sickness is going to hit you on rock bottom. As a man thinketh, so is he. Oh, I'm tired. I am sick of this. I can't stand this anymore. I wish that I was never born. Be careful. Here you go, taking yourself out. Very simple. As a man thinketh, so is he. He said, Abram, with thought, this is the process. You must learn how to call. And when you ask, that you don't ask amiss. The Bible says, you have not because you ask not. I've been all around this world, and I get everything I want. You know how I get it? Do y'all know how I get it? Are y'all here? Yeah. Huh? You know how I get it? I know how to ask. And I'm not afraid to ask for what I want. If I want $1 million, I'm going to ask somebody. Listen, sister. Huh? I'm not joking. How many of you want $1 million? Raise your hand. What are you doing about it? Talk to me. What are you doing about it? How many of us want something and do nothing about it? Just wishful thinking. Now, I decided that I want $1 million. I'm going to do something about it. And I ain't got no problem of asking, telling everybody where I go, look, I want $1 million. Somebody going to give it to me. You hear what I'm saying? Right. Somebody going to give it to me. All you got to do is keep asking. I didn't ask the Father for it. Just keep putting it out there. I ain't going to tell you all my business. Just trying to give y'all some tips. He said, Abram, you got to learn how to ask. And when you ask, you got to learn how to ask according to his will, and don't ask amiss to heap lust on your flesh. You can't ask for something so you can just have a lustful good time. The creative force is not going to enrich you so you can just have 50 women. Or 50 men. Because women doing the same thing that men is doing. Don't you fool yourself. I've known some women in some power positions, and you be surprised what they doing behind closed doors. Money destroyed. And AIDS is waiting around the corner. Do y'all hear me? Yeah. Don't ask for money so you can eat all the food that you can think of and get fat. That's lustful. So he said, Abram, tetragrammaton. He said, when you call, there was what was called the power of the spoken word that your uncle near brother had, and it was taken from him because he didn't know how to use it. But it's going to be transferred to you, Abraham, and your descendants. The power of the spoken word. You must use it skillfully. You must not have sloppy language, such as thing is, I can't. Or someone else is doing something to me. Or I can do this if they wasn't doing that to me. You see, the devil is a liar. Nobody is doing nothing to you. They can only do to you what you allow them to do. We are doing it to ourselves. Now, I know people will argue with me and make up all type of philosophies and why they can't get up. He said, Abram, there's a holy name that's called Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Yahweh. He said, Abram, each one of these four letters is called the tetragrammaton. Tetra means four, grammaton means grammar. And they are living energies. It is with these letters that creation was created. With the Yod, Abraham, it's force. It physically means hand. With thy hand I have formed thee, and I have fashioned thee. But Yod means force. Nothing can move in the universe or without the universe without force. Nothing can get in, nothing can go out without force. It takes force to make everything have motion. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
He said, so Abraham, with the power of the spoken word, the Yod causes a force to go forward. When force goes forward, force will cause a pattern. It's called the hay. And when force emagulates with hay, he impregnates hay. Force is masculine and hay is feminine. The masculine have Yod and the feminine has hay. Male and female. Without the hay, the Yod will produce no pattern. Without Yod, hay can produce no pattern. It takes Yod and hay, male and female, to make pattern. It takes male and female to cause effects positive on this earth. This is why men are not complete without his helpmate. And not Francis and Sissy. Two species of the same cannot be helpmates. They may have a lustful relationship, but they are not universal helpmates. Creation didn't create it like that. And I have to serve the world notice, all of those who are like that are possessed with demonic spirits. It's a demonic sickness. Either they were born with the demons from their mother and father, or they got it along the way. He said, Abram, when that impregnation takes force, activity starts. Like a woman having a child within the belly. The Yod emagulates with the hay. And then a fetus began to get born within the hay. And in the hay starts pattern. This is the same created form of all things. It takes a seed. You must plant a seed for anything to manifest. And the seed, the first seed, is the seed of thought. Are y'all here?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did in ancient days. But this is a new day. Jesus came and nailed the commandments to the cross. It's a lie. If there's no commandments, then there's no judgments. How can the Creator judge anybody if there's no law or something to judge them with? Does this make sense?
Right.
But Satan was at work. He was at work when he wanted to take the sons and daughters of light and bring them from the commandments and bring them in darkness. Because the word say the commandments is a lamp. That's what the word say. The commandments is a lamp. And the law is a light. So without commandments, you're in darkness. And I'm not talking about man's commandments. Those are carnal ordinances. But none of Yahweh's commandments are carnal. The words say Yahweh's commandments are holy. And every one of thy words are righteous from the very beginning. Let them go back and read. And yet David said, in my distress I cried unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Now the average person in English, they think of the word cry because English is a turning force. The English language is a turning force. You know, I've seen people play pool and they want that ball to turn, so I'm going to put some English on it. Are y'all here? So, he said, I don't mean to cry tears. The word cry means in Hebrew, kara, in the original Hebrew text, that's the it means to read and to call. There were some ancient texts that had formulas on it. Are y'all following me? And it still is. And a lot of this stuff could not be changed by remembrance, because if you start to recite and call upon the wrong thing, you would do the same thing that Solomon did, call upon the wrong thing, and a third of your household will burn down. Solomon was in prayer, and he was distracted one day by one of his 700 wives. Oh yes, King Solomon had 700 wives, y'all. Are y'all here? Huh? And y'all would beat the brother up today. Y'all kill him. Just a little humor. King Solomon was praying. One of his wives distracted him. He wanted to call upon universal fire, and he called upon destructive fire by mistake. Because in Hebrews, some words have very similar sounds to it. Everything is spoken with tonation. And he called, and scintillating fire came and destroyed a third of the temple. So some things, there's things that got to be read and recited. Y'all following me?
Yeah.
It also means to cry out, to proclaim and pronounce, to preach, to name, or to call by name. You must call something in particular by its proper name. You can't use any name that you want to call ancient power into being. It just ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen by you saying G-O-D. Ain't nobody called no power to happen by calling upon any God. And I say, let them come forward. It just ain't happening. Because the word God has no power. So he said, you must learn how to summon, to invite, to assemble, to convene, and to implore, to come, to call forward, to make something when you call, to bring it forward, and to know before you finish that it's in your presence. You can sense, you can feel the presence. I've learned when I go and call and pray, I can feel the presence, not outside, but inside. And when I get up, I just know with an absolute assurity that what I call for is on its way. It's going to take time to reach me. There are some things that I've called for 25 years ago just manifesting today. How many of us got that kind of patience? Huh? Because we want instant magic. And that's sorcery. Just don't exist like that. You're not ready for everything that you ask for. So when you ask for it, you're going to get it. The Creator said, it's my good pleasure to give you all that you ask for. But you must be prepared for it. Because some things you ask for will destroy you. Some of you may say, well, Lord, just give me a good husband. Huh? No, not even a good one. Just give me a husband. Just give me a wife. And here she comes. And then you wish to days you hadn't seen him or her. Do you follow me? Because you got what you asked for, but you wasn't ready. So what happens when the Almighty Creator that you don't call according to amiss and he lust on your flesh, he qualifies you and he certifies you, he gets you prepared. You may ask the Almighty Creator for $1 million, like I did. And I didn't know what I was asking for when I asked for $1 million. Because when he started preparing me for $1 million, I had to go through a lot. Because when he started shaping and forming you, he's getting you ready to receive what you asked for, so you won't destroy yourself. Don't you know $1 million will destroy the average person? Huh? Can't handle it. Serious. What would a drug addict do with $1 million? He'd kill himself. What would an alcoholic do with $1 million? He'd drink himself to death. What would a gluttonous do with $1 million? Eat himself to death. What would a womanizer